I'll start. My name's Abigail Christian, and I am the Public Relations Deputy for the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. And this is my husband.
My name is Derek Christian. I'm an apparatus operator with Topeka Fire Department.
So we both kind of agreed that this was something we absolutely wanted to do because obviously with our jobs as first responders, suicide prevention is a huge thing that we want to help people with. Unfortunately, we probably see it more than we would absolutely care to on the job. And then we also both have had personal experiences with suicide as well. So it's just kind of a topic that's near and dear to our hearts, and we want to do the best we can to get some awareness out there. And we'll go ahead and just kind of start with maybe our stories. Want to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
want me to start?
No. December 2nd, 2018, was probably one of the roughest days in my entire life. And I've seen a lot of stuff with being a first responder, experiencing all that. But it was by far one of the roughest days. I just remember our oldest daughter was, she wasn't even a year yet. She's probably 3 or 4 months old. And, my brother-in-law texted us in our group. We have a family group chat, and he just texted us, I'll be in the basement. Don't come over. Just call 911. I love you guys. Make sure all the nieces and our oldest, make shere we tell her about him. And that's kind of when our I wouldn't call it a journey, but that's kind of when where our story just starts and the process of grieving all started. So, she was at work, my folks came over and we went over there, and that's where we started grieving. We realized that Adam took his own life. And that's where we started, and we started the grieving process. And then that whole week, it was just a start. And then after that week, after his funeral, that's when it really got tough, especially for me, just because, all the family's gone, they went back home, and that was an opportunity that we had to take just so we can grieve on our own, and we can start dealing and healing, and coming to realization of, what really happened, and knowing the fact that Adam won't be here, won't be here to see our girls grow up or anything like that. So it was a rough week, rough night. And it's still tough to this day. As you can see, I kind of got choked up just thinking about him. So it's, for me, where I'm never stop grieving or not getting over it, because I always think about him. And that's what he would want us to do, is to continue to think about him, and knowing how much he was hurting. I know he's in a better place, and that kind of helps me with that. I know he's up in heaven. I know he's looking down on us and taking care of us and that sort of thing. So, the process is never over, for sure. So.
Yes, just to add to that, one of the things that I remember from that night, obviously probably the worst night of our lives, was just maybe an hour before I got that text. I was actually on duty working as a patrol deputy, and unfortunately one of the many calls that we go to is medical calls, and in this case it was an elderly man that had stopped breathing, and his wife had called 911, and we were the first responders there that had started CPR, and then fire and medical personnel showed up and continued. And after that call, the other 3 gentlemen that I worked with, a couple deputies and a sergeant, we went to dinner and just kind of, try to move on from that call, that the man that probably lost his life, and then got the text message from my brother. And it was definitely a hard night, and it's still a roller coaster from there. You kind of have good days and you have bad days. And when you think back on that night, it's always hard, but we try to remember that good times with Adam and the happy moments. And we do know that even though it's hard to talk about, we still have to do it. So that has been a big thing that my family, especially my parents, we try to, any chance we get and any chance anybody needs to get their story out or get their story heard, we try to listen. If they have questions, we try to answer those, because I think the more you talk about it, the more it'll help for sure. And then I think a big part of with our jobs, even though we had this big personal experience with suicide that was obviously very traumatic, we still have to go to work and we still have to do those jobs. So I know it's always hard for me to talk about, but just 1 week after Adam's death, going back to work, I was one of the first 2 deputies on scene of a suicide call, where it was a very eerie night, and a woman was out in the woods. We were the first ones on scene, and it just kind of brought back all sorts of emotions. But, as a professional in your job, you have to kind of keep that in and make sure you get the job done and do what we need to do to secure scenes, make sure everyone else is safe. And so I remember doing that and going through that call. And thankfully, I was only there for a short time because I was actually at the end of my shift. And on the way home, I just kind of broke down in my patrol car driving home. And then when I got home, thankfully, Derek was home and we were able to sit and talk about it, because it was just kind of 1 week after Adam, I have another huge call that those are tough. Those are tough for anyone involved. Even though we didn't know the person that we were responding to, it still breaks your heart. It breaks your heart for their family, because now we know what their family's going through, or a little bit of what their emotions might be. And it's tough. It makes it really hard, but we know that we love our jobs and we have to keep doing those. So we will keep doing those, but we definitely want to try to get some prevention awareness out there to maybe stop some of those calls that we might have to go to, or others might have to go to, and maybe stop the pain of some of those family members that they might feel as well.
Yeah. So like she'd said, like a week after, her brother passing, I don't know, it was maybe a year and a half. I actually ran a successful suicide, and that, like she said, it just brought up so many memories. And then probably 3 or 4 months ago, we actually ran my best friend. His wife died by suicide, and we were on the call, and that was tough. I've known my buddy since we were 3. I knew her since we were probably like 6 or 7. But luckily my crew they didn't let me go inside. They didn't let me see her, which was good. So I just kind of was there for my buddy, and my buddy was so thankful that I was there for him. And I knew that I had, from my experience with Adam, like I knew I had to kind of step up and kind of help him out, because he was getting ready to go through what we went through back in 18. And so it was kind of, I'm glad I was there. I wish I wasn't, type of thing. But like she said, I kind of had to, put my career and put my job in first, and I had to make sure that, I had to keep that emotions away and be there for him, and also figure out what the next step was. But yeah, I definitely, I ran a bunch of suicides before Adam passing, and I had a process of dealing with them, and that was, just, say it. I didn't know them, so it was like, yeah, that stinks, but we just moved on. I look at it completely different now, because I understand that it is a disease, and these people they need help, and I feel for them, and I don't blame anybody that does this, because it's, I don't think it's a selfish act. I think it's sometimes we may be selfish for wanting them to be on this planet, or in this, in this life form, because, we want them here when we don't know how bad they're hurting. And so I just know that Adam and Nikki are in a better place, and I look at it completely different now. And I, like she said, it's sad. I grieve, for every one of those calls that we go on, and it's horrible. But like she said, hopefully we can get this awareness out and say that, hey, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be hurting. And it's okay to tell somebody that, hey, I have depression, or I want to hurt myself. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just, you have a disease, and let us know and we can help you. We can do whatever we can. We can help you. We can get through it together. And so that's the plan. That's the goal. And hopefully it works. All it takes is one person. And I think it's a success. So